Um, yeah, my name's Dave Krieger. I'm the national account manager for Transition Networks, and I manage the distribution relationships in the U.S. and Canada. And of course, our favorite being ADI, of course, and there's multitudes of reasons for that. Really, the ADI team, whether they're the inside guys, the folks at the branches, and the guys out, feet on the street, which we can't wait for COVID to be over so we can finally start doing that collectively. Both myself and, of course, the ADI team, we're all chomping at the bit to get out there and get in front and support the integrators and resellers. But with that said, what Dennis is going to cover, I'm going to introduce Dennis Troxel. He's our senior SE, who's going to cover our smart managed switches. But there's some really cool stuff, and I know that increasing the awareness is a big key here because again, before COVID, when we used to do the trade shows and stuff, there was a lot of integrators and resellers, and even the reps alike would say, "Hey, I wish I knew about this. A couple weeks ago, I had a great opportunity for it." So that's what we're here for. That's what Dennis is going to do, is give you guys a little bit of a crash course. But by all means, Dennis is very technical, so we can drill in heavily as well if you guys have any questions. So Dennis, take it away.
Okay. All right. Thanks, you guys. Like I said, I'm Dennis Troxel. I'm Principal Sales Engineer for Transition. And I just wanted to go over a couple of things. We kind of put the title out of this webinar as Why Transition Networks? Why do customers want to use us? So here's a couple of bullet points I just want to make you aware of. So this is our 33rd year in business. We've been building network products for 33 years. We are a US-based company out of Minnetonka, Minnesota. We are TAA compliant with our products. So when you're talking to government, SLED type applications, or banking or financial, a lot of times they will want to know if there's TAA compliance in the products, and they are. We offer you guys pre-sales and network design support for you and your end user customers. So what that means is if there is a project that comes up that you want our help to talk to the customer directly, they can send me like PDF drawings of the project or that type of thing. And what I do is take a look at it, make up a network design using Transition products, and then send back that network diagram plus a bill of materials so that you guys know exactly what's involved, what equipment is included in that particular project from Transition. We have commercial equipment and we have industrial equipment. So what that means is office grade, in the office type equipment. We offer a lifetime warranty on our commercial equipment. That can include media converters, switches, SFPs, all those types of devices that are office grade. And then if it is industrial grade, and what we mean by that is it means it can take a harsher environment like -40 to +75 C, and as long as it's in an outside enclosure, we offer a 5-year warranty on the industrial equipment. Again, we have media converters, SFPs, switches, all of that can sit in those harsher environments. And then all our warranties include 24/7 technical support on the phone. So we do have a live body all the time to talk to somebody if they need some technical support, no matter what time of day or 365. And then we also do project registration and project pricing for ADI, so that in our distribution, what we do is we take in that particular project that you guys have. We will get with David and our inside to quote that particular project. There's no minimum on it, and what they do is David will give you a project pricing for that, so that you're able to know that you guys going in there would have an edge on that because you brought it to Transition. So obviously we want to take care of you by giving you special product pricing. Basically, we just have to know who the end user is, and then of course we'll look at what the project involves for equipment. As part of also our sales team support, like I said, we do the pre-sales and network design. We provide you a bill of material construction. So it'll say how many switches you need, how many media converters you need, how many SFPs you need, how many power supplies. So all of that will be spelled out with the part numbers You guys already have an equation between our part number and your part number for transition. And we do have lists and matrices of cross-reference equipment to your part numbers and ours to make it easier for you. Our technical sales support, obviously we go out and we talk to the end users. We haven't been doing that much because of COVID since March. We're starting to kind of get back on the road again. So we'll be out there doing that. But of course, we can do customer webinars or pre-designed network calls. So please utilize us for that where, just like we're doing a webinar today, we can do a webinar specifically for a customer going over the particular products that they're interested in. We also do an installation assistance, meaning that when they first get the equipment, they can talk to us and we can help them get through the initial menus and how to set up initial setup of those particular devices. And then of course our post-sale support, we have service phone calls, RMA processing and warranty processing that we can help with the end user customer. When I talk about pre-sales design, I just wanted to give you guys an example. So somebody sent me a PDF like this. They show me kind of what cameras they want to put in this particular floor. They had this building on floor 1. They showed me where the IDF is here and some cameras. And then what I do is I take that drawing and I turn it into something that looks like this, which shows you, again, this is what the building involved as far as IDFs and switches that belonged in it. Outside, there were poles that they had to have cameras on. And I show you a list of equipment that's required for that particular job. So that's what I was talking about with the network design to help you guys out on any kind of projects that you have. I also wanted to put on this, which is our regional map of our regional sales managers and our inside sales managers. So everyone has a region covered. So we have these representatives or RSMs out there in those particular regions that you see colored. And they also have an inside sales manager who's always in Minnetonka, Minnesota to help you guys out with quotes, cross references, those types of things. So again, the RSMs go out and they talk to the end users. They can do joint sales calls with your guys on the outside. And then we bring back that business to ADI, and then we can do quotes for those projects and that type of thing. And of course, it shows you there David's information. He is our channel team manager for the distribution channel. So again, I included this on here so you guys all have a reference to who is in which area and who you can work with for the regional sales manager. And again, if anybody has any questions while we're going along, please stop me and let me know.
I just want to throw other thing, Dennis, that's really key for the ADI customers, for the integrators and resellers that are on there, and then of course the ADI reps themselves is, where these guys are. I steal this term from one of our inside guys that they do the heavy lifting for you, right? So what we're always looking for is cross-sell opportunities, whether it's a switch or or an SFP or a media converter. If the integrator, if you guys or the customer or even the end user or the rep only has like one little tiny snippet of info, I need a media converter, but I have no idea whether I need multi-mode or single mode, things like that. Reach out to these individuals that Dennis just alluded to, and they'll say, okay, good enough for me, and they'll start to work that with you, and then they'll do the config, get all the Q&A going, and before you know it, like Dennis alluded to, we're loading up a quote. So don't hesitate.
So
bring us.
like Dave is saying, each one of these areas has a regional sales manager. That's the RSM. That's the guy that's out again on the road in that particular region. And then the ISMs is the inside sales manager. They're equated to each regional sales manager for a certain region, and they provide you those quotes or those crosses. So again, if you can't get a hold of the regional sales manager because he might be out on calls or that type of thing, the inside sales manager is always there in Minnetonka in our corporate office to help you out for that particular region. All right, let's go to the next one. The other thing I wanted to point out to you is that Transition Networks has been conducting, and we'll be conducting it from now until the end of February. We do a monthly CEC webinar that our company puts out. So what we do is we send out invitations. We have this on our website. So like this is the one coming up here on October 21st is the next one. You can sign up on our website. You can have customers sign up. We are giving Bixby as is ICS credits for our webinars. So when you sign up, those people can put their names in, their email, and their contact information, get on the webinar, and then we will be able to credit them the continuing education credits for these webinars. So we do one every month, and they're always out on our website that you can go sign up for that. Today, I wanted to kind of show you a couple of different applications that we've been doing a lot of work in, and you guys might have a lot of exposure to this also. Key solutions that we've been providing are security and surveillance. Of course, that's national, interstate, local integrators, business end users on security and surveillance projects. We work a lot with intelligent transportation. So what's going on there is they're putting out sensors, cameras, connected vehicle, those types of projects. And that's at the US DOT, the state DOTs, county DOTs, city DOTs, or even transportation companies, trains, subway, busing, all those types of things. So again, we're going to show you kind of where we fit into those particular applications. We also work a lot of smart building automation. So this is kind of a new marketplace to touch on, where now we're calling on people like architects, civil engineers, planners. And these are the guys that are building smart buildings and smart cities, meaning that now there's POE LED lighting, there are sensors for the rooms, there's HVAC control. So now the POE process has moved into the actual building automation sector. So either they're greenfields, which are new buildings being built, and they're architects so that they can include these smart building automation type sensors and devices, or they're upgrading brownfield to a more smarter building type automation. This saves them energy, saves them costs, allows them to do analysis. So this is a big marketplace that we've been participating in. And then of course there's business industrial Ethernet. Those are things like utilities, airports, wastewater treatment, warehousing, solar applications. So this is where our industrial switches come into play. And I'll show you some applications that are concerning those particular types of products. All right, so security or surveillance, of course, we've been working this business a long time, where you're talking about security either inside the building or outside. So we cover both areas because, again, the commercial equipment goes in the building, in the office, and then the industrial goes out in an EMA enclosure outside. This is for parking lots, parking garages, any kind of harsher environments, warehouses, garden centers for stores, those types of places that are not climate controlled necessarily. So we fit into all those particular applications using either our media converters or switches for those POE applications. We support POE, POE Plus, and POE Plus Plus. So what that means is 15 watts, 30 watts, 60 to 90 watts is POE Plus Plus, which was the new standard that was put out in September of 2018. We have some technology partners. So there are security companies, there are camera companies, there are VMS companies, there's auxiliary equipment type companies. So what we mean by we're a technology partner is we've gone out to these guys, we've established partnerships with them, they've tested our equipment out and it works in their particular types of devices. And what that means is now you can be assured as a distributor when you're selling to the integrator or selling to the end users that we've already gone out and done some compatibility work, tested our switches with their equipment. And so you can be assured that you won't have any kind of compatibility issues in those particular areas. When we're looking at our POE devices, what you can see here is you can see we do have a commercial and industrial POE media converters. That means that these converters will provide POE power to cameras or wireless access points, whether they're in the building or they're outside the building. Again, any of the outside applications, you put it in an enclosure, but our devices will be able to do that minus 40 to plus 75 C environment, that temperature range. We also have Ethernet extenders, both for Cat-X cable and for coax. What this means is Ethernet and PoE only goes 100 meters. If you need to go further than 100 meters, you use these Ethernet extenders. And then we have the commercial managed PoE, PoE Plus, and PoE Plus Plus switches. We have all flavors of these for inside the office, 8 ports, 16 ports, 24 ports, 48 ports. And then we also have an industrial line of switches for that, which again are 4, 8, 16, and 24 ports, supporting, again, the wide range of PoE power. And then we also have fiber aggregation switches. So what happens is when you guys do an installation with an end user building their project for them, and they have a bunch of these switches out there and they all come back on fiber to a central location, then you use these fiber aggregation switches to tie those all in to like where an NVR sits or where the central IT network is plugged into that particular security network. Transition Networks is unique, and what we did is about 2.5 years ago, we went out to VMS software integration. What that was we went to these VMS companies and we said, hey, we want our switches to have a software integration to your VMS system. When the end user customer is sitting in front of one pane of glass, which is their VMS system, we want to be able to not just manage cameras and wireless access points and access control devices, but we want to be able to manage switches through the VMS. So we've already completed software integration to Milestone, to Variant, to Siemens on their VMS systems. And then we're currently in progress with doing software integration to March Networks, and we already had initial meetings with Exact, Genetec, Salient, Vigilon, WiseNet. So what we did is we went out and looked at who are the top 10 VMS vendors, and then we're approaching them one at a time, because this is a value add to our switches that now they can be managed through the VMS system along with their cameras and access control devices. Also, another marketplace that we're looking at is intelligent transportation. So this is what I was kind of mentioning earlier, is this is all to do with traffic or any kind of transportation that's being automated today through intelligent transportation servers. This is traffic signal control. This is sensors that do counting of cars or pedestrians. This is pedestrian safety with cameras. This is wireless bridges. This is license plate recognition, vehicle detection. This is connected vehicle. This is smart parking. There's a lot of different areas where projects can come up through intelligent transportation. And again, down at the bottom of the screen here, you see some of the people, some of the end users that we've been talking to and doing business with already. New York City DOT, they actually bought 15,000 of our industrial switches. They put a new switch in every intersection of the 5 boroughs because they evaluated our switch. The incumbent was ComNet, and they evaluated our switch and they saw the value of it over ComNet, and they actually chose us for that project. But you can talk to city DOTs, county DOTs, state DOTs, or the US DOT. And then there's side companies like Caltrans or MARTA, where you're pushing buses, trains, all those types of applications. So here you can see traffic signal control. You got connections there. You have IP cameras. You have the RSUs, connected vehicle stuff, wireless bridges and sensors out at the intersections. And then bridge security. So they have cameras up there, again, for accidents or any kind of problems with that. You're looking at connected vehicle programs. This is where the emergency vehicles can change lights at intersections and those types of things. And then, of course, pedestrian safety. You have cameras up all over everywhere for making sure there's no kind of problems at particular sites. Also at mass transit. So when you're talking about train or bus platforms, these places are going to have wireless access points. They're going to have cameras. They have vending machines for tickets, VoIP phones. They're going to have digital signage or combo cameras. So again, our industrial PoE and PoE++ switches provide the power for these devices at these transportation platforms. Another area where we did a lot of application work in, and we're working constantly, is smart city or smart buildings. So this is a area again where I was talking about the architects and the civil planners, but what's happening here is a building is becoming smarter based on the analysis they can do on not just security and surveillance and access control, but also for HVAC controls, for PoE LED lighting, any kind of maintenance on the mechanics of it, counting people that are in and out of the building, looking at rooms that are being occupied, or if they're not occupied, we can adjust to that. So this is what they're talking about with smart building automation. You're looking at now these architects and planners are looking to make more efficient buildings in their construction models. And again, it involves lighting, security, access control, HVAC, sensors, fire alarms or emergency lights or locks, and elevator control. So Transition Networks has been providing those solutions through our switches and media converters for the PoE power that's required for these devices. So there's the lower power devices, the 15 to 30 watts per port, and those are going to be IP cameras, wireless access points, access control, IP phones, smart thermostats, scanners of sensors of all kinds, environmental or occupancy. So they're all providing power through transition switches at the lower end of the scale. And then we have the higher end of the scale, the PoE++. This is 60 to 90 watts of power. These are required for combo cameras, for LED lighting, thin clients, HVAC control, smart light poles, even motorized blinds in office buildings, or real-time displays or signage. So again, we can provide the solutions for these power requirements based on the higher rate of PoE++ power. When we're looking at that, you might run across somebody talking about a ULAN. ULAN stands for the utility LAN. So what this is instead of the IT LAN, which is to run all the data on and all their processing, this is a separate network built as a LAN so that they can manage and do analysis on these particular building devices. So here you can see in an office setup like this picture shows you, there's 853 PoE devices here. There's phones, there's lighting, there's displays, there's sensors, there's wireless access points, cameras, so there's all kinds of devices. And in the process of planning for this, you have to look at how many devices are there. What is the PoE power budget? So how much power is needed for that particular area? What's the cabling implementation? Because again, with PoE powering, it's not utility, right? You don't have to worry about, is there an outlet somewhere? You just run Cat 6 cable to where that device is. So it makes it real flexible to put the device where you want it. Where are the IDF locations? Where am I going to put these switches in a central location that I can do these groups of different devices? And then looking at management control, right? After you get all this put in and installed, somebody has to manage it, right? They have to be able to do the lighting controls. You have to be able to manage the analytics of it and to know what's going on with the sensors. And believe me, this stuff is going on. Like, for example, assisted living places are using PoE lighting. And what they're doing is, a lot of times these people inside cannot get outside. So all they're doing all day long is looking at the lighting within the building itself. And with these smart buildings, what they're doing is they're actually duplicating the circadian rhythm of the sun rising and setting. So during the day, the lighting actually changes to mimic what's happening outside. And it actually is providing a better place to work in and to live, obviously for the occupants. But they're finding out people are, have less sickness. They have more energy because it's really duplicating the way the day follows through if they were in a regular environment. And then we're also looking at another area, which is business industrial Ethernet. This is where I have a harsher environment. It's going to have to be one of these industrial switches or media converters that provides the power to these devices. And these are places like outdoors where, again, I'm in warehouses, I'm outside in parking lots, I could be on golf courses or construction sites. And then also in commercial vehicles like buses, okay, because buses today have cameras in them so they can record, what's going on, people getting on and off, or are there any problems. So all these are being driven by industrial switches to provide those particular cameras or wireless access points or other devices the power they need through POE. All right, and I would ask right now if anybody has any questions. I'm going to move on to the demo to show you what our switches, what kind of features they have and what they look like. Let's see. All right, so Joe asked me, do you have a map of rep firms? So I don't particularly have that. We don't have any rep firms right now. We pretty much do everything through distribution. So the map I showed there was, of course, all our regional sales managers that are out there to help.
I can elaborate on that just a tad, Dennis.
Okay.
Because we get that question, and I know that some of our competitors do, right? Have rep firms, and which is cool, good for them. I mean, they have more feet on the street, but we have the team that we have of the 6 RSMs. They're 110% dedicated to transition networks, where sometimes the challenge you have of the rep firms is they've got multiple lines, right? So I think that's where we really are happy with that. And, that's our strategy to support, again, ADI and of course, the various resellers and integrators. We've been pretty successful with those guys.
Exactly. Okay. I think that was all the questions that were in there. So I will continue on here, and I want to show you what our switches look like, a little demonstration of it. So this is our GUI interface of our switch. All you do is open up a browser like Chrome or Firefox, and you put in the IP address up here at the top. What we did is we built a GUI interface because when you get out there with your security integrators and the end users, a lot of times these people are not like IT people. They're installers, or they're people that are putting in these networks. And so we gave them a real point and click type menu. So it's real easy to set up the configuration and to get the actual network going. Up here at the top, we always show you a picture of our switch, and we show you the Ethernet connections that are there. So if I move my mouse over here, you can see this is a gigabit port that's green. If it's amber, it's 100 meg. It's how the actual Ethernet was negotiated when you plugged in the device to our switch. This is our switch menu over here. We have 2 tabs. One is for the layer 2 switch setups, and that's what all these selections are. And then we have our DMS tab. DMS is an additional software package we've added to our switches. It's inclusive of the price, so the customer never has to pay for licensing or other software. It's always inclusive of our switch. Well, what DMS is, it's our device management system software. It allows you to do more monitoring, management, and diagnostics to the devices that are attached to our switch. And I'm going to show you that here coming up real soon in the demo. If I actually look at the switch up here, I can double click on a port and it opens up my detailed statistics of that port. It actually shows me the traffic that's moving back and forth on the transmit and receive side, whether it's unicast, multicast, or broadcast traffic, what size of the packets, and are there any error packets. And you can easily just pull down this menu and look at any of the ports, including the fiber ports, and you can see the information about the detailed statistics. You can actually also clear this and use it as a troubleshooting tool, because now I want to make sure that I do see traffic going in both directions. I might have a transmit out or a receive part out, and I'd be able to see that because it wouldn't increment on this particular setting. So you're able to take a look at the copper ports and the fiber ports on their traffic. We also give you SFP port information. So there's 2 SFP ports on the switch, 9 and 10. In 9, you can see that it shows me I have an LC multi-mode 850 gigabit SFP plugged in right now. And then in port 10, I have a single mode that's plugged in. This is a DMI SFP, meaning that it will also give you information like what temperature is it and what is the laser power that is on the transmit side and receive side. So they, again, they can utilize to see, are they getting a good signal across the fiber link, or is there a problem? Now, I don't have anything plugged into the receive side, so you can see it doesn't show me anything there, but it would actually show you the receiver sensitivity of that. Under our POE management, we have POE status. This always tells your customer what is plugged into their particular port and how much power is being used. So here you can see this camera negotiated class 3. We allocated 15 watts of power, but notice we added this column, which actually says how much power is actually being used by that camera. So we're giving your customer the capability of knowing what his total budget is. This switch up here does 120 watts. You can see that we're only using 3 watts right now of power. So what this tells the customer is that they now can plug in a lot of other devices because they have a lot of PoE power that still can be utilized yet on this particular switch. We also have a unique feature with transition called Auto Power Reset. Auto Power Reset is proactive monitoring of your attached device. So what we do is we have the IP address here of this camera. Every 30 seconds, I'm going to talk to that camera, and you can change this in the configuration. If it gets a glitch in and it stops working, what the integrator or end user customer has to do is they have to go out to the site, they have to push a reset button on the camera, and then they can have it reset and come back up. The problem with that is it costs money. It's OpEx money every time I have to roll a truck. So what we do is we actually talk to it every 30 seconds. If it does not respond to me 3 times, I'm going to automatically reboot that port. What that does is save them the trouble of going out on a truck roll. It saves them OpEx money because we're going to just reset that camera like they would normally have to drive out and do. And then, of course, we will record an error here saying that we did reset that camera. We also do SNMP, we do syslog, and we do SMTP, which is emailing, telling the customer that there was a problem. Now, if he comes into this screen and he looks and this says 20 times we rebooted it, of course, now we know it's something worse than just a reset of the camera. It's something worse than that. So it tells him he has to roll a truck, but at least now we're giving him an intelligent truck roll because he probably wants to take a camera with him. You know, you don't want to drive all the way out there and then find out, oh, it's worse than just rebooting and now got to drive back and get a camera and go back out. So the idea of this is if he sees a multiple amount of times it rebooted, then it's not just a glitch. It's something else that's wrong with the camera, and I probably want to take one with me. So again, we're looking at saving them the OpEx money on the maintenance side with this proactive monitoring. All the rest of the menus here are point and click, VLANs, and that type of thing to set up. But I want to show you under diagnostics, we actually have a cable tester built in all of our switches. So you can actually click on this and say, start the test. What we are doing right now is we're checking all 8 pins in the copper cable to make sure they are pinned properly end to end. So this comes into play a lot on the first initial installation. If the end user or the integrator is out there doing the install and they say, okay, a camera didn't come up, what's the first thing? Well, is it a cable problem or is it a camera problem? And I don't know, right? I have to go look at that. But with our switch with a built-in cable tester, we can see, okay, the cable is good, so it must be something with the camera. Or if the cable wasn't good, what if they didn't push a wire in all the way or they turned it around? Then what would happen is this would say shorted, open, mismatched. It would actually tell them there is a physical cable problem, and now they have to go resolve that based on what port it's plugged into here. We also have a TDR built in on the chip of our switch. What TDR does is it calculates what's the distance of the cable. How long is the cable from the switch all the way out to the endpoint? And what this really comes into play is, remember, we can only go 100 meters with a cable. So what this does is it tells the integrator, the end user, You know, they start cabling this and they're in the building, then they go through a conduit, then they go outside, then they go through a parking lot, then they go up a pole. And sometimes they lose track of how far away they are, where we can now tell them, yeah, this is the distance of the cable. This is how close you are to 100 meters on the distance limitation. This also works if there's a cable break. We will tell them with the TDR how far away is the break from the actual switch. All right, and I'll show you that coming up here. So again, what we did with our software is we build in these extra management and diagnostic capabilities so that it helps that end user or that integrator to manage their network once they have it installed and it's up and running. Now I'll click on the DMS tab. The DMS is our device management software. What you can first see is we automatically create a topology map in our software. So what you see is when I went out and I plugged in my PC, my cameras, other switches into this switch, we actually created this map automatically. All right, we go out and we send 5 protocols out to these devices. And we say, who are you? What's your IP address? What's your MAC address? How much power is being used by this device? And how much bandwidth is being used? This is a picture of their as-built network right on the switch. So what they can do now is they can come over here and say, give me a PDF of this and take a snapshot. Now, what I'm doing is I'm saving the picture of their network as they installed it right on my PC. I don't have to go back to the office and draw this all out. So now I have a topology PDF. I have an actual document they can print and they can say, okay, here, Mr. Customer, I installed your network. Here's how it's set up. Because guess what? Later on in life, that customer is going to plug in more devices here. And of course, they might call up and say there's a bandwidth problem or something. And now the integrator just has to go and pull this up and say, listen, I got this reference. Oh, I see you plugged in, 4 other devices. Okay, so they can actually realize what's the difference between the network then and what it was when they installed it. So this is really important to the integrators that they have this automatic generated map that now, if you walk into a customer site and say, where's the documentation where your network looks like? There's not a whole lot of people that have that. But now you have the capability of having the switch draw it out for you. You don't even have to sit down and do anything for it. Also, what you can see up here is that we're looking at all devices, but I can change that and say, just show me switches. So notice now we change the actual drawing, or just show me cameras. All right, so I can make this drawing any way I want it to look based on the devices that I want to take a look at in this particular scenario. All right, so that's part of our DMS software, is allowing them to have an auto-generated, discovered map of their network. Now, on top of that, each one of these devices is an actual icon that I can click on. So if I click on this camera, what we do is we open up a dashboard. So this is an interactive management piece to this device. You can see it tells me it's an access camera. Here's its MAC and IP address. And now these buttons down here are live that I can say, hey, listen, I'm in the switch. Let's log right into that camera. I type in the credentials for it, and now I actually get a live view of this camera. So, of course, there's the network sitting on my table that you're looking at the diagram of, right? So what this means is now the customer has the capability of actually managing this device right from the switch itself, okay? So I'm able to click on the setup of that camera, right? And I'm actually able to go into the actual menu of it and be able to see what that, what the camera looks like, if I want to focus and zoom it, whatever I want to be able to do to get in and actually change configurations. Or I can say, all right, let's go ahead and focus and zoom it, click on that, and now you can see I actually have full control of the camera and I'm in the switch, right? So I have management capability out to that device, right through our switch. So this gives that end user or integrator the capability of actually managing their devices right through the actual switch itself. I have a one-button diagnostics, so I can actually click on that, and I'm actually checking the IP connection and the cable connection between the switch and that particular camera. Notice I have 2 green check marks here, says are good. Now, what happens is I can pull out that cable because I'm sitting right next to it, and I'm going to cause an actual failure to happen, right? So what happens is we're talking to all these devices. So now what will happen is when I go and unplug the cable, we're not going to be able to talk to this camera anymore because, of course, the cable's broken. So what we actually do for the end user customer is we turn this camera red. So I'm going to go ahead and unplug it right now. And what happens is it'll go through polling and talking to these devices. When it comes back and sees I can't talk to this guy anymore, this camera is going to actually visually turn red. This tells your end user customer, hey, listen, there's a problem with this camera, and you need to go investigate what's wrong, right? So we're just waiting here. It'll come back up. Okay, there it goes. So now I can click on it again. Now I want to do diagnostics, but of course, there's not going to be a green check mark here because the cable, I pulled the cable out, right? So it's bad. So it's going to show me a red X. Now notice it says the cable length is 0 meters. Of course, I unplugged it from the switch. So what that does is the TER calculates out how far away is the break. So if this was 10 meters out or 20 meters out or 30 meters out, we would show that to the end user. So now he has an idea, okay, where do I need to go to where that switch is, where the problem is with the cable? Or is it unplugged, just like I see here? Call up somebody at the site and say, hey, look at port 2 and plug the cable back in because it looks like the cable's unplugged. So the idea, again, is we're giving them a lot of diagnostic capability right from this drawing to go out and know where there's a problem and how to fix that particular problem. Now, besides having the topology view, we also have a floor view. Floor view means that you can take a JPEG and plug it into our switch. And now you have the capability of saying, all right, click on the switch, and that belongs in this IDF room. And I can click on this wireless access point, and that actually belongs. So I can actually place these devices where they belong on this particular drawing. And now this is how the integrator or end user customer installed his devices on this particular floor. Because he might be doing an installation of floor 1, floor 2, and floor 3. So I can plug this JPEG in and then put the devices on. I can still click on the camera and bring up the dashboard like we saw before. But now, of course, what do I want to do? I want to go over here and say, give me a PDF of this, because I don't want to draw all this out. And I save it as a file. And now, once again, on my OpEx side, I'm saving some money because now the switch actually drew my drawing for me. Here's the PDF. And of course, down here's a table showing me what are these numbers up here and what is the reference to them. What's the switch? It's an IP address, the MAC of it. So now I have completed documentation right from the switch itself. We also have a Google Maps view. So Google Maps allows me to type in an address up here. So this is our office in Minnetonka right here. And the reason we do this is because these cameras might be outside. They might be on the outside of this building. So I can go place it over here. Or, you know, it could be in the parking lot. So I'll put it over here in the parking lot. So I'm able to actually take an outside drawing of the particular location and then place the cameras. It could be in parking garages, parking lots, on the outside of buildings, wherever they might be. So what we're doing is, again, through our software, providing the end user integrator these capabilities of not having to go actually out and draw these particular maps. We also have a device list. So if they just want a text list of what's in the device. So now what I can do here is I can actually just highlight this, do a Control-C, and then I'm going to open up an Excel spreadsheet. All right, I'm going to select a blank. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to paste this in and do a format. And what I've done is now I have a list here. I can go say, you know, this is location X, whatever it is. And now go to the next one and say, this is location Y, and paste the next one in. I don't have to type in all these MAC addresses, which I'm probably going to fat finger those numbers. So I can just pull it right off the switch itself. And I'm able to then create a text list which says, okay, at this particular location, here are the devices that are in there on that particular switch. So again, what we're trying to do here is help the customers out to be able to save some OpEx money and some CapEx money. These switches are a very good price on them. And again, there's no extras to pay for. There isn't maintenance to pay for. There isn't licensing or software to pay for. Everything's inclusive when you buy the switch, but you get all these monitoring, management, and diagnostic capabilities built right into the software. All right, that's pretty much what I had for the demo itself here. What I'd like to do is now move over and let Michael have a few minutes here if he wants to talk to everyone.
Sure. Good afternoon, everybody. Dennis, thank you. Great information.
Sure.
So just introduction, I'm Mike Aceta. I'm the General Manager for Enterprise Connectivity here at ADI, and my team supports transition networks and other products in the communications, datacom, enterprise connectivity space. So we are an overlay of the existing sales team throughout the country, and our little tagline is we're the jack to the rack people. So we're going to handle all the passive infrastructure, and then also some of the active gear within the cabinets and racks that you'd be supplying to your customers. Transition is one of our key partners. We work in tandem with their sales team to create, find the right solution for whatever installation or project you have out there. Our team is available via email, Zoom, you name it. We're starting to move around and see people these days. But that's all for me, really. We're just really here to support you guys. If you have questions, you can hit up the website. You'll see the enterprise connectivity space. We're actually building out some more information on the web, and then contact me, and I can get you in touch with a local representative, to help with whatever opportunities you may be looking at. So that's all really I had. And Dennis, that was great information again, and thank you for the time today.